Well, you remember hearing the story about that leg down in the Illinois State Military Museum. There's the Santa Ana leg, and a bunch of people from Texas came up, and they wanted to reclaim that leg and take it back down to Texas. Well, that has some intrigue to it, but there's another story of local history that has just as much intrigue, and I think also can kind of play that role of the Da Vinci Code here locally. News Talk 94.7 and 970 WMAY, joined in studio by a couple of guests. One you know as my wife, Megan. She works at the Chatham Area Public Library as the genealogy director of local history. Then also we have Les Morgan, also known as Sarge, at the Chatham American Legion with the Chatham Veterans Memorial. Both of you, thanks for taking time with us this morning. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Real good.
Good to hear. So this is, again, a fascinating story of how somebody in a distant area from Texas, in this case also, reached out and was just asking some questions, and it was quite some time ago from what I understand. And then it sparked this investigation, and for these historical buffs to go and try to find some artifacts. So we'll start with Megan, and when did this whole conversation begin with a fellow named Josh down in Texas?
Okay, so Josh actually posted a picture on Facebook around June of 2015, so we're over a year ago now. And it was a picture of the Caldwell School in Chatham, and he had a question about where this plaque wound up, because the Caldwell School actually burned down in 1964. So he reached out to the Chatham Area Public Library, and I think Josh's story is one of my favorite examples of why you should be friends with your hometown librarian. Because Josh, he gave me his contact info, he told me about his story, and ever since June of 2015, I have been finding artifacts related to his family. If he hadn't given me his contact info, I'd be coming across it and go, well, I wish I would have known what that guy's email was. But I actually brought an example of one of the things that has come in to show you today. I believe this came in to the library in the summer, so almost a year after Josh first reached out. And in this scrapbook, the scrapbook is from the 1910s. In this scrapbook, we have the 18th annual commencement of Chatham High School, 1916, and his relative, who we're going to be talking about today, actually is on the class roll.
It's pretty amazing, again, highlighting how just one inquiry from somebody down in Texas allowed you to then start cataloging an entire amount of information about this family and this individual.
Yeah.
So let's get into the story now. 714 News Talk 94.7 and 970 WMAY, talking with Meghan Harmon. She is the Chatham Area Public Library Genealogy and Local History Director. Also, you've got Les Morgan, who is with the Chatham American Legion and the Chatham Veterans Memorial. So, Megan, you got reached out to by Josh. He said, I just want to know where this plaque is. Mm-hmm. Even if the school burned down, surely this plaque has to be somewhere. Why does he want this plaque, and what's the significance that a guy down in Texas has with Chatham, Illinois?
Well, Josh's family has very firm roots in Chatham. That's why I keep finding things. And one of my favorite things that I found was a little picture, and it was of I don't know, probably a 7 to 10-year-old boy, and he was on his way to piano lessons, and it said Little Bobby Sumpter. And I sent it to Josh, and I said, is Bobby Sumpter your grandpa? And he said, oh my gosh, he is. Bobby Sumpter's wife is still alive and got to see that picture for the first time and told Josh a story about how he never liked those piano lessons, and he reflected on how beautiful the birds sang without lessons, and he decided to quit piano lessons. So Josh got to know that story about his grandpa because of this picture. They wouldn't have known that before. So that's all I had was pictures and some paper. I had no idea where this plaque was. So I do a thing. Everybody out there should like the Chatham Area Public Library on Facebook, because every Friday I post a local history photo or inquiry, and Facebook has been a tremendous resource to get names on pictures that I don't have, that kind of thing. So I do this Flashback Friday, and I put out a call and said, does anyone know if this plaque survived this fire? And my buddy Sarge here started looking into that for me almost a year ago.
It's pretty amazing. Sarge, where do you even start? Where do you even start?
Well, Opal Lee, who used to be the unofficial historian of Chatham, when we started building the memorial back in '99, and it was dedicated in November 11th of 2000, I'd gone to her and asked her if she had any information. And so she went back and did a lot of research and called me up one day and said, I got 2 boxes of stuff for you. So I got the 2 boxes of stuff, and most of the stuff that I needed was in the first box. I didn't even get all the way through the second box, and I kind of set it off to the side. So it had been sitting there for about 10 years, and I saw the post on Facebook asking about this plaque. So I thought, I wonder if it might be in that box.
That second box that you got handed to you 10 years ago. That you didn't.
Well,
your initial inquiry didn't have it.
15 years ago now.
15 years ago. So in this box that's like probably in the back of your garage somewhere with other boxes stacked on top of it?
Yes. And so I went out, dug it out, and went through it, and it was on the very bottom.
Wow.
And she apparently had already had it refurbished and cleaned up and everything, because it was in immaculate shape. And so,
would you have ever have come across that if it wasn't for this seemingly random request from a guy down in Texas, right? I mean, making its way through Meghan to a social media site to you. Would you have ever found it?
Eventually we would have found it, because I would have gone through the box trying to get some things organized.
But with Meghan, you wouldn't have necessarily known the significance of it to an individual in Texas or even to the Chatham area. And
no,
it's pretty amazing.
It's kind of amazing when she showed me the picture of it on the Caldwell School. I used to go to Caldwell School, so and I knew some of Josh's relatives. One of his relatives was our paper boy when we were growing up. So the more I learn about this, the more infatuated I am with the history of it.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of exciting to work along with it. And when I found it, the thing was that I remember it was on Facebook, but I couldn't find who it was. So I put out a thing. Nobody responded, so I put.
Because again, it was like a year ago when you first initially inquired about
2015.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I put it back in the box and thought, well, somebody will eventually say something, and so I had put something out on Facebook. Nobody responded to it, so I thought, well, okay, doggone it, I wish I could remember who it was. And then earlier this year, Meghan had posted something else, and I jumped right on it then and said, I got it.
That's fantastic. All this time, do you guys feel like you're in some kind of Dan Brown novel, going through old documents and trying to make sense of it?
I don't know about that, but it's pretty awesome.
It is a fantastic story, and all of this is culminating into an event this weekend where you guys are going to unveil this plaque from the Caldwell School. What does the plaque say? Well, why does Josh in Texas want this plaque?
It is in honor of Roy Sumpter, who was killed in battle. He was part of the Meuse-Argonne offensive in France. It was one of the largest U.S. offenses in history. 1.2 million Americans fought in it. I think over 26,000 Americans died. And Josh is actually buried in France. So this memorial was erected in Chatham to honor his death, which This is the 98th anniversary of his death on Sunday. He was wounded on November 5th, 1918, and he died the next day, November 6th, 1918.
So November 6th in Chatham, you're going to be honoring Roy Sumpter with this unveiling of the plaque, and Roy's long-distance relative, Josh, from Texas, is coming up to actually also take part in this, because he's the one that kind of started this inquiry into finding all of these artifacts just popping up all over the place. Meghan, take a moment really quick to again reiterate the importance of getting to the library, of talking to the local history people. If you've got questions about your own genealogy, the amazing and vast resources that you guys have, but it's hard to put all those pieces together if you don't have the citizens out there actually coming to you. So tell us about the importance of that.
What happened in this case is Josh found the right resources, the right place that housed those resources. Because at the Chatham Area Public Library, we care so much about Chatham and the surrounding areas. So those families, we save. And we owe a lot of that to, as Sarge was talking about, boxes from Opal Lee. Mm-hmm. She had a wealth of them.
A bunch of
them. And a lot of our... I actually have a site people can check out. It's archive.chathamlib.org. We have put a large amount of Opal's collections, which it's not just Opal. Everybody in the town would, she was the place to bring these things to. And now I would like people to know that the library is the place to bring those to. Our local history room is dedicated to her, and that's our mission, to keep saving Chatham's rich history.
Meghan Harmon with the Chatham Area Public Library, and Les Morgan from the Chatham Area Legion with the Chatham Veterans Memorial. Again, the event is going to be this Sunday at 2 p.m. Where at?
At the Chatham Square.
At the Chatham Square. You'll be able to hear more about this story and talk to the players involved, from Meghan to Sarge to Josh, who's going to be up from Texas, and you'll get to see these artifacts as well. And don't take for granted your local library resources and all of the great, incredible information they have. And you guys work with all the other area libraries as well, so it's not just like
we do.
You shut people down if you don't have it.
No,
you send them to the right resources.
Constantly trying to steer people in the right direction.
Fantastic. Good stuff. All right. Well, Meghan and Les, thank you so much for taking time with us this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
News Talk 94.7 and 970 WMAY now.